Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Metis Tech Show. In today's episode, we'll be talking about the one-time flash. But first, the Metis Minute. A hydronic heating system, also known as radiant heating, uses hot water to heat a home or building. Water is heated by a boiler, water heater, or refrigerant to water heat exchanger and circulated through sealed pipes to radiators, baseboard heaters, or underfloor tubing. As the hot water flows through the system, it radiates warmth into the surrounding space, heating objects and surfaces rather than just the air. This creates a more even, comfortable, and consistent heat that doesn't circulate dust or allergens like forced air systems. Hydronic systems are comprised of many components like water feeders, expansion tanks, air eliminators, and zone valves, but the most basic, primary loop consists of a heat source, a load, and a circulating pump. Hydronic systems are also more efficient, with some achieving over 90% efficiency, especially with modern heating systems, smart thermostats, and modern hydronic controls. They offer zone control, allowing different areas to be heated to varying temperatures. While installation costs can be higher initially, hydronic systems can be more durable and have lower operating costs in the long run. Regular maintenance, including equipment checks, flushing the system, and monitoring water levels, helps ensure optimal efficiency and longevity. Additionally, the refrigerant transition and its refrigerant concentration limits has made hydronic systems a more viable option for areas that have historically not used hydronic equipment for heating or even chilling water. Thanks for listening to today's Metis Minute. Now let's start the show.
The Metis Tech Show.
Welcome to the Metis Tech Show, a show for HVAC professionals by HVAC professionals.
I like how you guys bounce back and forth between heat pump talk and food talk.
The Metis Tech Show.
Mitsubishi.
Yeah, so this weekend I texted you guys when I was cooking. I was making chicken parm. And I've been trying the different ways to cut the chicken nice and thin. You know, I went to a restaurant and the piece of chicken was huge. I go, how do they get a piece of chicken that huge? So I took the breasts and I cut them in half because they were thick. And then I took half and butterflied it open. And all I do is I just put it in an egg wash and then a mixture of breadcrumbs, Parmesan cheese, and garlic powder. And I coat it really well. And then I take the griddle. I'll put some olive oil and butter, generous amount of butter on the griddle, and I fry these things up, and they came out really good. The boys love them, and then when I put them nice and hot, and then I flip them over, and then I put a little more butter on top of there, so it melts on there, a little garlic powder, right? And I made the patties that way, and then the rest is just, spaghetti sauce and some pasta. So I texted you guys, the chicken's cooking on the griddle. Next thing I know, we had a big thing, the three of us. So Steve, you texted me what you were cooking. What were you cooking?
I did barbecue.
That's right.
This weekend. So I got two racks of beef ribs that were on sale, and they usually don't have beef ribs at the market that I go to. And I got one rack of St. Louis. So I went down to my smoker, which I haven't used in probably 6 months, and it was all jammed up with pellets. I couldn't get it I had to take the whole thing apart to put the ribs in there. I was so aggravated.
It was like
85 degrees out. Yeah, and my wife's yelling at me from the top of the porch, "You don't need the smoker, just stick them in the..." I'm like, go back in the house, please. And yeah.
You didn't say go back in the house, please. You said something else.
I said something else, but anyway, I got it working. Got the ribs in there, and yeah, they came out phenomenal. But it was funny because we were all texting each other what we were cooking at that time, all three of us.
Yeah, and then Bryn,
they were like,
you were making garlic knots, and was it gnocchi?
No, so a friend of mine wanted one of two things. One was Alfredo, and the other was penne alla vodka.
Oh yeah, vodka.
A vodka sauce, and so I was like, I'd never made a vodka sauce before. Alfredo, I'm not a huge fan of, so I was like, I guess I'll look it up and try it. So I did. I got all the ingredients. I started making it. I made penne. I made chicken meatballs from scratch, and then I did garlic knots from scratch.
Oh, those garlic.
All right, so what goes into a vodka sauce? Because I just buy the jars pre-made.
Yeah. So it is vodka. Is actually an ingredient in there. Tomato paste. There was some cream.
Yep.
And then seasonings. oil.
The cream is what makes it that orange color.
You
to
got
it.
it.
Yeah.
It's really just the vodka, the cream, and the tomato paste makes up most of it.
I was more interested in the garlic knots.
Yeah.
How'd you do those?
So I like to make my own dough. It's like just a thing I like to do for fun. So I keep some dough on me, like in the freezer when I'm not using it, and then I'll thaw it out. And then I basically roll it out, cut it into 8 or however many I want, and then you stretch it out more, and then you just basically tie it in a knot,
like a pretzel.
Tuck it in. But before you do that with the dough, you got to put like some oil, some garlic butter, some garlic, some butter, and everything. You season it prior to baking it, so that it's all in the bread and everything. And then after you get done baking, you glaze it again with the garlic and the seasonings. And
that sounds delicious.
And it was so good.
Wow.
So
I'm impressed.
Yeah. So I made that garlic bread I told you guys about before, the really good garlic bread. I took an Italian bread, cut it down the middle.
Yeah.
I roasted 4 heads of garlic in 3 shallots. I roasted them in the oven in olive oil, right, and some salt. And then you take all the garlic out, you take the shallots out, you cut them up, and then you just mash it in with a stick of butter.
Yeah.
I mean, you mash it all together, you put a stick of butter, it softens up. You spread that on each side of the bread, the Italian bread, some Italian seasoning, a little bit of salt, and a little bit more garlic powder.
Some more butter.
And then I took Parmesan, Assaggio, and Romano cheese, the hard cheeses, and I made... in my effort to make America great again, GRATE, I grated this cheese up, the mixture of this cheese, and then I just put it on top of that. You throw it in the oven, 425 on a cookie sheet. And what happens is the bread, the outside, the bottom of the bread gets nice and crispy.
Yep.
The cheese melts in there, and then before I take it out, I just turn the broiler on. Mm-hmm. So that cheese is nice and bubbly. I mean, the whole family loved it. Bread was gone. I mean, my son said it's the best garlic bread he's ever had, and it was so good. That with some chicken parm, they loved it. It was nice and buttery, fried, crispy. I mean, I don't have a deep fryer, so I'm not going to deep fry it like they do in the restaurants. But it was,
Steve would be more into it, but he doesn't think there's enough onions in it.
No.
Yeah.
He needs more onions.
No, shallots.
I'm more of I want to do an onion bread. But, like an onion bagel, onion bread type thing.
Onion
but
nuts.
Paul, you and I went on a short trip Monday.
Yes.
Monday into Tuesday, we went to North Carolina, Charlotte, and we found an amazing barbecue place that's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Because I think both of us were kind of blown away at how good it was, and kind of like leaning towards that rather than the hard eights in Texas.
Listen, I love the hard eight.
It was like a toss-up.
I love the hard eight. It's a toss-up, but I'm going to give this 51-49 to Midwood Barbecue in Charlotte. Was it Midwood? A Midwood Smokehouse?
Yeah.
But, and here's the difference. You go to the hard eight, you wait in line, you pick this, you pick that, give me some of this, give me some of that. They weigh it for you. You go through and then you can pick out your side. You go through this cafeteria line and then you pay for everything. And the first time I did that, I wanted to taste a little bit of everything. It was $72. The time I was done.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't eat it all. I think I was my next 3 meals was the leftovers. But this place, you sit down and they have this combo platter. They have, I think it was plenty of food and then fat guy or something. That wasn't what they were called. But it was a $33 and like a $45 one. And the $33, I got 4 proteins. I got the brisket, and you can choose dry or moist, lean or a little more fatty. So I got the mix. I got burnt ends, and if you've never had burnt ends, oh my Lord, are they so good?
I know, and that's what they specialize in.
Yeah, and I had their cheddar jalapeno sausage, which was really good. I picked the side. I picked collard greens, which if you like collard greens, they're good, and they have hush puppies. Fried cornbread. It's all it is. It's like a cornbread.
I'd never had.
Donut. Oh,
first time having them. They were so good.
Yeah, and I had
I was dipping them in the baked beans.
Yeah, and I had the jalapeno poppers. Mm-hmm. Jalapenos stuffed with cream cheese, wrapped in bacon. How can you go wrong with that? And I'm going to tell you, I think I ate everything. I really do. I think I ate everything.
That's good.
It was delicious, and that's the difference. They bring it out to you, and I think it was just slightly better than the hard. Oh yeah, and I also had a half a rack of ribs on there. And I almost went with a full rack. Thank God I did, but those ribs, they fall off the bone. They were so good, and The sauces were on the side. I mentioned it before. I don't like sauces. I'm not a sauce person. I like the dry meats. But tell you what, some of the sauces they had there, they gave us like, I think, Steve, 4 or 5 different sauces they let us try. And
Yeah.
some of them were good. Some of them I didn't care for, but those ribs were to die for. But my favorite thing was the burnt ends. They're just amazing. I got introduced to burnt ends in North Carolina, so I loved it.
But
Nice.
yeah, it was a Monday night, and the place was jammed with people. That would not happen in Massachusetts. You wouldn't have a barbecue restaurant in Massachusetts jammed like that on a Monday. It just doesn't happen,
I don't know if
But
it's a Massachusetts thing, but a lot of restaurants are closed on Mondays.
Yeah,
They just don't bother opening.
Yeah.
right.
So anyway, that was that place. We went. Vincent Patty from Train was with us. I think we all got the same thing. And he's like a skinny guy. You've met Vinny.
Oh, yeah.
He's like this skinny guy.
Oh, he put it down.
He put it
He
down.
put that food down.
Shocked, yeah. So, I hate him.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, first of all,
Welcome to the Metis Tech Show.
Oh, yeah, we always forget
well,
that
first
part.
of all,
Welcome to the Metis Tech Show, everybody.
I think everybody knows.
All right, get that out of the way.
So, okay.
yeah,
So, should we introduce ourselves? People know who we are.
it's Paul on the microphone.
Yeah.
I'm Bryn. I'm
I'm
here
Steve.
with Paul in office, and joining us remotely is Steve.
Yeah. And the one person we mentioned last week who will never be with us again is the late Scott Tallman.
Yep.
He won't be with us.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
No longer with us.
Second of silence.
Yeah, he's not really dead. He's just dead to me. So I wish the guy luck as far as he knows with his new job. So we'll see what happens.
He'll be back.
Yeah, we're not taking him back. Yes, we would. We take him back in a heartbeat.
I wish us luck that he comes back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so today I figured we talked a few episodes ago about the 4250 error code on city multi equipment.
That was last week. We did that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
except for if we have another episode come out between then.
No, we won't. We'll do this.
Yes.
But yeah, we covered the 4250 error code, and one thing that we kind of benefited from by going through that is not only just how to diagnose a 4250, but also how to use the manual to go through the troubleshooting flow chart. So we kind of went step by step and kind of jumped around in the manual a little bit, but kind of laid out how we would go through diagnosing that. So what I thought we could do is kind of a similar error code, but on the M&P side. So what would happen if something similar happened on the M&P side, and how we would navigate the service manual going through the troubleshooting flow chart for that side.
No, that's a good idea. The one thing I want to mention at the get-go here is you have to make sure, obviously you're looking at the service manual, but you have to make sure you're looking at the right chart. And
You got it.
personally, when I was in the field, young technician, this must be 30 years ago, I actually fell for this. The first chart you're going to come to is going to be faults, and it's going to be failure mode recall. So I don't want to, this is not a failure mode recall episode, but just in a nutshell, you put the system in failure mode recall, it'll give you the last fault it had, and you're looking at those faults. If you don't know what chart you're looking at and you happen to look at that one by accident, you're going on a wild goose chase, you're in the wrong area, you'll never get it. So just make sure it is not failure mode recall table that you're looking at.
Right.
So there's a table, and it's a troubleshooting check table. And in this particular model, the manual we're looking at, it's a 10-3, table 10-3.
Yeah.
And the first thing you're going to do there's a chart there with 5 or 6 columns.
Mm-hmm.
The first column is just going to be the number of the fault. You can, as far as I'm concerned, you can ignore that one.
Right.
The second column is symptoms. So let's start there. What are the 2 symptoms we're going to be looking at?
Yeah. So you'll actually potentially have 3 symptoms. It depends on the equipment. But what we're looking at here is an FS09. So it's just your standard wall mount FS unit. But what you end up with is on the far left, when you get your error code, you got to pay attention to what is the equipment doing. So if the error code, you have this flash code on the indoor unit, and the outdoor unit is turning on for a couple minutes and then shutting off for 3 and then coming back on and then shutting off for 3, the flash code that you have on the unit is going to be different, right? It's going to represent something different. If the outdoor unit isn't operating at all, you got to go through follow the flash code for that. And then sometimes it will be operating and throwing a flash code. So those are the three conditions that you might see. It's either not operating at all, it's turning on and off every 3 minutes, or it's operating. And of those three, when you have that flash code is where you're going to start diving into what is actually the problem. Right.
And you'll see that on the chart. It'll say operating, and then it gives you like 4 or 5 possible flash codes, and then it says operating. The auto unit stops and restarts every 3 minutes, and then it's going to give you, another 6 or 7 possible flash codes, and so on.
Right.
So that's the first thing. Know what is the unit doing, and pick the right section of the chart.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then the one-time flash, Steve, you awake?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm awake. I'm here, man.
Steve's remote. I'm giving him a hard time. So the one-time flash is not to be confused with standby. So not every unit has an LED, but for those that have an LED, can you go over what's the difference between a one-time flash and standby?
Yeah, so standby is going to be basically when you have multiple units, multi-zone system, for instance, and you have 4 units. Let's say there's 5 indoor units. 4 of them are in cooling, and all 5 are in cooling, and you flip 1 to heat. All right, now you can't have multiple modes on a multi-zone, so that 1 unit that you're trying to flip to heat is going to go into a standby, and it's going to wait for all the other units to satisfy in order for it to go into heat mode. And that's just going to be a constant flash. There's no 2.5 second break in there.
Right. It's a one flash. And a lot of people do confuse that with a one-time flash. So the one-time flash, if it's an active fault code, would be a flash. It's off for 2.5 seconds, flash, off for 2.5 seconds, and so on.
Right. Whereas a standby would just be every half second.
Right.
So you'll see the flash every half second.
Flash.
But if you see the flash, 2.5 second break, flash, 2.5 second break, that's your sign that it is a one-time blink as opposed to a standby situation.
I'm not going to mention the manufacturer, and I think I've mentioned this before too, but there's one manufacturer where the troubleshooting guide had you check for half a flash. So come on, either the flashes or it doesn't. How can it be half a flash? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I just think that's odd. Half a flash.
Yeah.
Which half?
So once you've got, so we're going to cover the one-time blink because it is kind of a common error code, and it does align with the 4250 somewhat. So when you get that one-time blink every 2.5 seconds, it will tell you that your abnormal point or condition is the outdoor unit, so outdoor power system. And then it'll say the condition. And what the condition is basically what has to happen for this unit to throw this error code, right? So the condition is just something happened. That has to happen. Sometimes it's multiple times. Sometimes it's only once. But that has to occur before we throw this error code. And in this case, the condition is overcurrent protection cutout operates 3 consecutive times within 1 minute after the compressor gets started. So we go into this overcurrent protection 3 times. Within a minute of the compressor starting, we get this one-time blink. And what will happen is the outdoor unit will then eventually shut out. So you get 3 tries. After that, unit will completely shut down. You get the one-time blink.
Right. And then you work your way to the right on the chart. And again, just like I recommended the last episode, if you're not driving, if you get a chance to bring up this manual and follow along and listen to the episode, you'll be able to see what we're talking about. Again, It's hard to do in an audio show, but you look off to the right, then it says the remedy. And the first thing it says is reconnect connector of compressor.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the compressor's unplugged.
Right.
What having you check for that. And again, it's one of those things you gotta think about. When are you out here? When are you getting this? Is this a startup?
Right.
Or has this thing been running and operating for a while? I can tell you on the older FE equipment, you'll get this flash code if the valves are closed.
Right. So let's go through the rest of the round.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. I'm getting ahead of myself here. All right. And then it says refer to 10-5, how to check the inverter compressor.
Yep.
Right. And if you go to 10-5, it gives you a flow chart, which a lot of us are familiar with.
It does.
Every manufacturer I think I've ever seen uses some type of flow chart for diagnosing.
Before we even get to that, though, the other potential thing it could be, Paul, is check stop valve.
There it is.
So
That's what I just said.
Yep. 3 total remedies. So there's 3 things that could solve this problem. One is that you have a loose connector or a disconnected compressor. One is that you have an issue with your inverter or compressor, or you check the stop valves, which is what we call service valves.
right?
Yes.
So which one are you going to check first?
It depends. Is this in a startup or has this been running for a while?
Right.
If it's been running for a while, you know what? I should check the stop valve because who knows who was there between me
Right.
and the last time.
It's quicker to check the stop valve,
Yeah.
get that out of the way.
Yeah.
So fast, so easy. You just take the covers off, right? Loosen the nuts, look in there, make sure that those king valves are pulled out. Done. Now we've eliminated that. Now the problem is it mentions it last.
Yes.
So this is a bug that I do in class sometimes where we'll close one of the stop valves or service valves, and I've got people with the unit torn apart. They've got their inverter checker on the equipment, and they haven't checked the stop valves yet. And the reason for that is because they want to go step by step through the remedy, which is awesome that they're trying to go through the steps. But in reality, look at all the options, just like we talked about last week. Look at all the options. If there's some easy ones you can get out of the way, like checking stop valves, go for it.
Does that give you this code here when you put to the check? 'Cause I tried this in class. Yeah, with the FE, it was quick.
Yeah,
within a couple of minutes you would get this code. But with the FH, when I tried this, it took a while for the code to come up. So that's why I was saying on the older units, I know it happens quicker.
It also depends, I think, on which service valve you choose to close. If you shut your liquid line, it happens a lot quicker.
Yes, that's the one. Or if they close them both, because if they were never opened, Yeah. So again, let's go then to the table 10-5. You go to table 10-5. It's down a couple of pages.
Yeah. So before we get there, right? 10-5. Kids, you're getting ahead of me. 10-5 is an entire section.
Yes.
And in 10-5 is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, all the way through.
Right.
And so this is telling you to start this diagnosis, you're going to 10-5, which is the section, and start at letter A.
Yes.
Which is how to check inverter compressor.
Right. And that's a very good point. Yeah. So I'm glad you stopped me because I am going a little quick. I just want to get this done and over with. It's almost lunchtime. We've been talking about food, and I'm going to go to Nan's and get a barn burner. All right, so we got 10-5 troubleshooting flow in section A, and it says how to check inverter compressor.
Yep.
All right, so what's the first step?
Steve?
Yeah, so we're going to disconnect the connector between the compressor and the power module. So usually there's a white plug there on the M series and P series. So depending on the model, but you can pretty much bet there's a white plug in there. And this is where I like to talk about the inverter checker that we sell. Yep. Okay, we have an inverter checker that we can plug into that white plug. It doesn't take the place of your meter. You can use your multimeter. You don't have to have our inverter checker. It's just a nice little gadget to throw in there.
Right.
And we're going to check the voltage between the terminals. And I'm just going to follow this flow chart. All right, and we're going to look and see if we, first of all, have any voltage there at the terminals. If we're missing a phase, possibly. If there is voltage, we're going to continue on through the flow chart. And we're going to look and see if the next step is if the voltages are balanced.
Yeah.
That's important, right? It doesn't matter what the voltage is, because every meter interprets this voltage differently, is if the voltage is balanced between UV and W.
And then it gives you a yes or no, the flow chart.
Yeah.
And if it's
so
no.
If it's no, what are we replacing, Paul?
The inverter board. That's it. The inverter board.
Yeah.
Yep.
That one's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
Unbalanced voltage, you got an inverter problem. It's not putting out the right voltage.
Yep. And if it's yes.
As a technician, hold on a second, though. As a technician, if I stop there at that flow chart and I say, okay, replace the inverter PC board, let's order a board. I get the new board, I pop it in, it blows.
Yeah.
What did I not do?
That really blows.
Before I ordered Yeah. What did I not do before I ordered this board and installed it?
Well, you got to check downstream, just like with anything else, right? You may not have checked the compressor itself.
Yeah.
You know?
So don't stop there. You got to check the compressor, make sure that wasn't the cause to begin with.
Yeah. And you know what?
Shorted windings.
Yeah, I actually say that in the reverse too. Let's say you show up to a job site and you have diagnosed and for sure know that your compressor has a short across the windings or a short to ground. Can a bad inverter take out a compressor? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So if you diagnose without a doubt that you have a bad compressor, you got to check the inverter.
Yeah, do that step anyway. Check your voltage, make sure it's balanced. And now if it's unbalanced, now you're ordering both. If it's balanced, you're just ordering the compressor.
Yep.
That's good. That's a good tip there because I have a feeling this actually happened to Steve when he was in a van.
It's probably not on a mini split, but something else.
Yeah,
right.
It's happened to all of us. Oh, I found it.
Yeah.
What caused that?
weak contact.
Bad capacitor. I had a blown capacitor, replace a capacitor, and that one blows on you. So yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or it was always for me was 24-volt side stuff. You got a blown fuse on your furnace board, and then you just replace the fuse. Like, why did it blow in the first place?
Yeah.
Where you got some sort of 24-volt short somewhere else, and you didn't bother to check. You just were like, just throw another fuse in it, and then it pops right away.
Yeah, I used to, throw
Go
another
through those
fuse.
quick.
Yeah, that's what I got to, and that's the tough. I got to figure out what now. I'm ohming everything out. What blew this fuse?
Yep.
Right. So that's always.
So yeah,
And don't use copper.
don't use copper.
Yeah, in place of a fuse.
Correct.
I've seen copper pipe in place of fuses inside disconnects.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Do not do that.
I don't know who in their right mind would think that's okay to do.
Was it glowing when you got there?
No.
Yeah, good. Well, that's good.
It was scary.
So yeah, the voltages aren't balanced. We're going to replace the inverter board, but like Steve said, obviously check the compressor. And then if it is balanced, it's telling you now you definitely need to check the compressor, and we're going to get referred to 10-5 letter C, which is check of compressor. Now, if you check for voltage between the terminals and you don't have any voltage coming out of the UV and W terminals, you need to go to 10-5B, which is checking for an open phase. So it's a yes-no flow chart. Every step you go through, it's either a yes or a no. If it's a no, it's going to refer you somewhere else. If it's a yes, you keep moving on through that flow chart. So there's two potential things that we may have to check, assuming that certain things don't check out. If I have no voltage between the terminals, we're going to go to 10-5 letter B. And then if we have, we do have that voltage, but we check for the voltage being balanced. If it's not, we replace the inverter board. If it is, we check the compressor. It's going to refer us to 10-5 letter C on how to check the compressor.
Right. And the one thing I want to mention before we go any further, do not check the compressor voltages at the compressor terminals.
No.
They're too close together. And again, I've mentioned this so many times before, you will get an arc and you're going to fry something, and it's going to scare you. It's a bright flash. It's a loud bang. It sounds like a gunshot. Students have done it in class, even though I'm telling them don't ever do that. So you check back at the board with UV and WR. Never check at the compressor terminals.
Right. And like Steve was saying too, with this being an FS unit, it has that harness. So you're going to unplug that harness. You don't even have to take wires off the compressor.
Right.
Just unplug the harness before you power back on, and then you can back probe that harness for the balance voltage.
Yep.
So let's go over to 10-C, which is that check of, or 10-5 letter C, the check of compressor. So what it'll tell you to do is referred to 10-5/D, check of compressor winding, which we'll go over in a minute. If that's normal, you're going to go through the yes path, where it'll tell you to refer to 10-5/E, check of compressor operation time.
Yep.
And then from there, it'll say, does the compressor operate continuously? Yes. Okay. No. Refer to 10-5/F, check of compressor start failure. So again, 10-5 is this long section of diagnostic flowchart steps, and you're going to go through one by one once you get referred and check into these different letters and conduct those tests.
Right, and it's knowing how to read this flowchart, the D, the E, the Fs, because again, first time I went through this without any training, it's trying to figure it out. It can be confusing. You're like, what? Yeah. So now we're at 10-5D. Check of compressor winding, right? And it's going to tell you, disconnect the connector between the compressor and the power module and measure the resistance between the compressor terminals. Right? And it's going to say between black and white, between black and red, and between white and red, measure the resistance between the lead wires at 3 points. You're going to measure it there. And then if it's 0 ohms, we got a short.
Yep.
All right. And if it's open, we've got an open.
Right. Yep.
So easy enough.
Yeah. And so there's a little section, it gets a little confusing, where it says judgment, refer to 10-4. If you were to go to 10-4, it's going to tell you what the resistance will be. So it'll give you an idea of what the normal range should be.
Right.
But it's saying if you see 0 or you see infinite, that's a definite short or wide open. You've got a problem. So it will tell you what you should see if you refer to 10-4. And it just depends on the compressor. It depends on the unit.
And treat this compressor like a 3-phase typical compressor. There's nothing special about this compressor. We're ohming it out just like we would any other 3-phase compressor.
Yep. So once we've done 10-D, we can go back to 10-5C, right? We just checked it. If it checks out normal, then we say yes. We go down to 10-5, and we're being referred to E. So check of compressor operation time.
And funny enough, E comes right after D.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep. So it would be the very next step. And what we're doing there is connecting the compressor and activating the inverter, and then measure the time until the inverter stops due to overcurrent. And based on how much time passes, there is a flow chart on the right-hand side that says if it's within a second, it would be something like abnormal IC 700 failure, which is the IPM circuit compressor winding short. If it's between 1 and 2 seconds, it's compressor lockout, so it might actually be a mechanical failure. If it's before 10 seconds, there could just be poor contact. It could be that you have a disconnected connector or your PC board is defective. And if it happens within 10 minutes, then it could be a refrigerant circuit or closed valve related issue. So this is, Paul, like you were just saying, sometimes it takes a while for this to throw the error code. That should immediately cue you in, oh, I might have a closed valve somewhere, or at least a restriction. Right?
But
It may not be the stop valve.
But I should never get to this point. If it is the stop valve, I should never get to this point because I found that in the first minute I got there.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, we're just basically going to start heating or cooling operation and then just monitor that compressor, see when it kicks out. Based on how much time passes after the startup, it will determine what potential issue has been caused.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Going back to that inverter checker, that tool that I talked about, and basically it's just a box that has a white plug on it and with 3 alligator clips. So you have 2 options. You can plug those alligator clips onto UV and W on the board, or you can plug those alligator clips onto the plug itself, but you don't have to do that because if you disconnect those alligator clips, that gives you the same plug connector that is available on the M&P units. And Paul has that model number for that tool in case everybody needs that.
Yes, and that model is a T as in Tango 2, W as in Whiskey, E as in Echo, A as in Apple, 0988.
Yeah, and I actually love that thing because in reality, yes, we make it, but that is a universal inverter checker.
Yes.
You've got gator clips, so any inverter that's 3-phase like that, you're gonna be able to use that thing.
It's got the alligator clips, and then the alligator clips will disconnect. You got that white plug that fits right in to the FH,
series,
right? So you unplug the compressor, plug right in there, so there's no danger of anything touching or shorting out. So it's a great little tool.
Yeah.
And then Steve discovered this trick. You take your phone out, and you can actually record it, in video.
Slow motion.
And actually, and slow motion. You can see that it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So basically what that inverter checker is doing is it's showing you the switching of the IGBTs in the IPM. So each time that the LED turns on, it's indicating that the switch is energized and functioning. And so it starts out kind of slow when you first start it up, but then as the compressor ramps up, those lights speed up, and then all of a sudden it just looks like they're all on. And that's a good inverter check, right? That's what we want to see. But in reality, those lights are turning on and off. Our eyes just can't keep up with it.
It's because those IGBTs are opening and closing a bazillion times a second.
Yep.
We can take that to the bank. It's a bazillion.
Yeah.
I don't know how many zeros that is, but it's a bazillion. All right. So then the one-time flash, right? There are other things. We just went over the outdoor power system, but there's a few other things that can be, and just real quickly, it could be a thermistor.
Sure.
Right? And you're gonna use the same exact process. It's gonna tell you what to do. It's gonna tell you what table to refer to.
Yep.
And that's a good thing about it. Know that the section is there. Know that there are subsections. 10-5 has A through. I don't know how far it goes. I know it goes at least to F.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly how far it goes, and it's gonna tell you exactly what to do. And this is your friend.
Yeah.
And we don't want you to be confused. It can be confusing. I always tell this story, but this is not a story. But when I first started in this business, I'm a little bit older than Steve, and I'm quite a bit older than you, Bryn. But I always tell the story to students. When I started in the field, the first no AC call I had was a unitary split system, and it was probably 25 or 30 years old at that time. So should a experienced technician know in his head everything that can go wrong or that could be wrong with that? Because what did I have outside? I had a compressor, I had a fan, some type of starting, contactor, low voltage control of some kind. So I believe that at that point, as technician with a little bit of experience would be expected to know how to fix no matter what's wrong with that.
Sure.
Or at least diagnose no matter what's wrong. Can you say the same thing today?
No, absolutely.
No, absolutely not. Because you open up this laptop that's in front of me, and you open up one of our systems, and you're going to see the same thing. You're going to see printed circuit boards.
Yep.
Right? There's absolutely no way anybody can be expected to know everything. And the smartest people that we have in this industry are looking at service manuals when they're diagnosing something. I don't care what the equipment is.
Yeah.
You know, there are some things you're going to know right off the bat just based on experience. But most of the time, you're going to have to go to some type of manual. I don't care what you're working on today.
Yeah.
Even the car mechanics are the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And everything's computerized now. You know, the 54 Ford that my brother had when I was a kid, he could fix anything in there.
Right.
You know, now you need a computer to figure out what's wrong sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say that too, because I attended a service course for a home standby generator company, and it was a 2-day training. And the first day was just basic generator theory, right? How it uses the motor and a stator to maintain a 1600 RPMs to get that 60 hertz to, whatever your service is, right? That's all it was explaining, is how we go through that process, how we create the magnetic field in order to get that 60 hertz coming out. The whole second day of that course was, here is the manual, and what you're going to do is learn how to use it. And it was literally just, here's where your wiring diagrams are. Make sure you're matching up your model number. If you get an error code, you're going to go through the troubleshooting. It's going to show you what steps to go through. You go through that part of the manual. I mean, the whole day was just how to use this thing. And so they did something very similar to what we do. Is the second half of the day, they would put error codes using, little switches or whatever in the system to trick out an error code. And then we had to go through step by step, just using the manual, how to fix it. And once you got the diagnosis, you were officially certified. So really, you get general theory, and then here's how to use our manuals. And realistically, we're not that much different. Like, we have so much information on those manuals. As long as you're comfortable using them,
yeah,
you'll figure it out.
And that's the key. Boy, how things have evolved, though.
Yeah.
And just occurred to me as you were talking, load calculations are the opposite. Right? It used to be load calculations where stand on the curb and hold up your thumb. Yeah. And if the house is 2 thumbs wide, that's 2 tons, and whatever. That's a rule of thumb.
Yeah.
And then they came out with this software, and I'm not going to mention who it was. It was years ago. I think I had to go to school for a week to learn how to use this software.
Yeah.
And that was just scratching the surface. And now they got some other load calculation out there. This stuff works on iPads.
Yep.
You aim it at the wall, you measure that, it just does everything for you, So that became easier. It went from no load calcs to really, I have to go through
Really
all
in-depth.
this, really in depth. I got to learn this and do it right. And then now things just became, with technology, just a lot easier. So there's absolutely no excuse, zero excuse for not doing a load calculation with the tools you have available today.
It's actually one of the benefits to load calculations being very formula heavy, is that we can now rely on computers to do the formulas for us.
Yeah, the first load calculation I did was all on paper.
Yeah.
It was, I don't even know I don't remember how many forms it was, but there was a lot of measuring and there was a lot of things. It was all on paper and a lot of math and doing this. And it was like, I'm not doing this. No one's going to do this.
What was there before? That's fine.
Yes.
It'll work.
Yes. All right. So anything else? I think we covered just about everything.
I think we covered it. Yeah. We got about did it. Bryn, would you pay $17 for 6 cookies?
Absolutely not.
Yes, you would.
Yeah.
No. I make fantastic
They were
cookies,
good,
and they cost
Paul,
me
but
like
I don't
$3.
know. I think they're a little overpriced.
Yeah. So
What was that, Bryn? I'm sorry.
It's okay. I said I make cookies at home, and they cost me like maybe $1.50 per
I
batch
hear
of
you.
cookies I make.
So right next to this Midwood Smokehouse in Charlotte was Insomnia Cookies, which I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
So Vinny said, "You got a guy that's going to try this." I'd never heard of it. I don't know if Steve, if you heard of it or not, but they got all these cookies in there. So I got one cookie, and it was a salted caramel.
Yep.
And it comes out and it was warm and it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. But, Steve did what I did when we went to the empanada place in Miami. I brought home a box of 14 empanadas, 8 of them of which made it actually home.
Yeah.
Right? And Steve got a box of what? Was it 6 cookies or 7?
Six cookies.
6 cookies. Yeah, he got a box of 6 cookies. And to my surprise, 4 of them made it home.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice. Only had 2.
I had a chocolate chip and an oatmeal. I was just gonna have the chocolate chip, but then I was just thinking about that oatmeal when I was in my hotel room, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to eat that now.
So my wife makes these amazing cookies. They're basically oatmeal raisin cookies.
Yep.
With butterscotch chips in them.
Yeah.
It's like, they're so good. She made them when I was on last week when I was on the road. And
Paul doesn't bring any of these in for us, Bryn.
Never.
Just
they don't
talks
last.
about them.
She made them for an event she was going to, and she left me 6.
Yeah.
I can't bring in 6 cookies. The drive is 20 minutes, so you wouldn't have nothing. But they are so good. They're my favorite cookies.
Yep. Yeah, I went to Insomnia a lot because in Amherst, Massachusetts, they have an Insomnia Cookies downtown. So I've been there like a dozen times or so. It's way better than Crumble cookies.
That's the one.
Crumble is terrible.
Is that the one with the giant cookie?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're like cake cookies. They're not even. They're not for me. The Insomnia is better, but I'm not paying $18 for half a dozen.
No, Steve did.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I didn't actually. Vinny, thank you, Vinny, paid for those cookies for me. So I felt a little better about it.
Oh yeah, Vinny paid for my cookie too, so it was free.
Well, it was
delicious. Yeah. No, but they were good. But I'll be honest with you. I'm glad there's not a store near me.
Yeah.
Because I'd be what? I'm going to stop by here on the way home.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just something about a homemade cookie. It just doesn't seem worth it.
And the thing is, when my wife makes cookies, she's done in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
Yeah, a couple of you put a batch in, you take them out. They don't bake for that long.
No, 8 to 11 minutes.
And the first tray's gone because the kids will devour that before the second tray comes out. But they're good. But around Christmas, we do this thing at church. All the ladies in the church bake these cookies, and then they go give some to the police and fire departments. And everybody takes home a whole assortment of cookies. So I think she made, I want to say like 12 dozen cookies, like a gross of cookies that you make, and then I think she overmade it because I put too much batter in, so we have like 30 cookies left over for us. I said, okay, great. They won't make it till New Year's.
Shucks. My Christmas tradition is I'll make sugar cookies and then cut them out and decorate them with all the stuff. Because with the kiddo, we'll decorate the Santa cookies and all that stuff. And what I do is when I get done decorating them, is I put them in like a Tupperware and just stack them all on top of each other and close the Tupperware. And something about like the moisture that's left in there and then the moisture from the frosting, when you open it the next day, the sugar cookies are so soft. Yeah. And they're fantastic. And like more sugary than a sugar cookie normally is. Oh, they're good. So good.
My sister-in-law used to make those, in like Christmas tree shapes and Christmas shapes and hang them on the tree. And she had this dog, Pepper, a little border collie. Yeah. Right? Anything within reach of her standing on her hind legs, gone. It's like all the cookies. She wakes up, all the cookies are gone off the bottom half of the tree. Yeah. The dog knows how to get to them.
Yeah, dog's name was Santa.
Yeah. All right. So I guess that's it. I guess we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, there will be a next one. Hopefully, so
we'll see.
I think the next one we got that heat pump summit that's coming up. So we're talking about that. Something we're going to be involved with. There's been a couple of them throughout the country. So I think the 3 of us are going to be going to that in November. I think it is. We'll find out. But that's next week. The heat pump summit, and we'll see you then, and we'll see what comes after that.
All right.
All right. Bye, everybody.
See you on the next one.